What's up, YouTube? I decided to make a video talking about what every Clipper player needs to do to be better next season. I know some of these players might not be on the team next season, and I know the title says every Clipper player, but I'm only going to be specifically talking about the ones that got a decent amount of playing time. Alright, starting with Kawhi, who just had ACL surgery and is a free agent. He needs to focus on just coming back healthy. Even had he not gotten injured, I still would be saying the same thing. There just isn't much you can say about his game. He does pretty much everything at a very high level. As far as when he will be back, I don't know. Judging off of how he looked after he tore it and the fact that they're calling it a partially torn ACL makes me think he's going to be on the quicker side of ACL recoveries, but who really knows? Now to Paul George. I'm going to need Paul George to tap into that MVPG we saw back in 2018 when he was on OKC playing with Westbrook, averaging 28 points per game. Like Kawhi, there isn't much you can say about his game. Skill-wise, the only difference is that compared to Kawhi, George tends to have more off games. To me, in those games, it looks like he's overthinking. He needs to have a little more trust in his game and play free all of the time. Now to Reggie Jackson, who in the playoffs was anywhere from third to even the first best player on the team. I think it was game 2 against the Jazz where he almost won us that game, just playing amazing. Against the Jazz, this man averaged 18 points per game, shot 59% from the field, 50% from 3, and 100% from the free throw line. Then he went and averaged 20 against the Suns, and he was scoring in just about every way imaginable, from 3, mid-range, taking it all the way. He even started throwing it down. In my opinion, if you can do that in the playoffs when the opposing teams are either practicing or watching footage on how they can stop you, then doing it in the regular season shouldn't be a problem. Unfortunately, I think Reggie Jackson has the highest chance of leaving the team. He is a free agent, and the rest of the league also saw what he did in the playoffs. If we manage to keep him, though, that would be great. I think he has some of the best chemistry on the team. He just needs to play with that same confidence he had in the playoffs. Now to Marcus Morris, who in the regular season was amazing. This man shot 47% from the 3. I mean, that's ridiculous. If he can imitate that and bring it into next season along with his fadeaways and defense, that would be great. Now to another free agent, Nicolas Batum, who had a somewhat limited role, but he played that role perfectly. We didn't ask much from him other than to play defense and make open shots, and he did both of those things very well, which is why it's not guaranteed we get him back either. He even threw in some tough shots and posters in there every now and then. He also rarely makes any mistakes, so there's really not much for him to improve on. I guess he could shoot even better, but you can pretty much say that about anyone. Patrick Beverley, like Batum, he has a very specific role, which is defense and hitting open shots along with bringing intensity. He did all of that, so yeah, not really much to say, just become a better shooter, I guess. He did let his emotions get the best of him against Chris Paul, but that was the last game of the season and the game was basically over, so who really cares? Now to Terence Mann, who had a breakthrough season both in the regular season and in the playoffs. Being that it was his first time getting significant minutes in the postseason, he was a little hesitant. The play that comes to mind was when he had the game-winning layup or dunk against the Mavs in Game 5, but he ended up passing it to Batum, and thus we lost that game. But he kept his head high, and after he dunked on Gobert, I saw that fear go away. Another big moment for him was when Utah was leaving him open in Game 5 and he wasn't shooting it, or he was missing, and then he came out in Game 6 and dropped 39, sending the Clippers to their first ever Western Conference Finals. So yeah, he started to play his role perfectly, but going into next season, I actually have even higher hopes for him. If his shot becomes more consistent and he keeps that confidence, I can see him winning a 6th Man of the Year award or a Most Improved Player of the Year award. Now to Kennard, who honestly just needs to come back the same shooter he was this season. I think it's more on Ty Lue and the coaching staff to create plays that get him more involved and more open looks in the offense. I remember when we had JJ Redick, we had that man running marathons every game, running around screens. When you have a lethal shooter like that running around, it helps open up the floor for the other players as well. So it would be smart to take advantage of that. I just hope Luke is working on his cardio right now. Now to another limited role player, Zoo, who we asked to play defense, and that's about it. We do sometimes go to him in the post, but very rarely. He has somewhat of a post game, but he can definitely get better at it. I think he also has room to get in better physical shape. Now to another center, who we got late into the season, DeMarcus Cousins, who is also a free agent now, I believe. But Cousins has so much offensive talent, it's ridiculous. Unfortunately, he's also a very emotional player, and it's really a shame because if he played with more poise, he could still be an all-star level player. But because he often lets his emotions get the best of him, he could either come in a game and immediately score 10 points, or he could immediately get 3 fouls. There's a video on YouTube of Cousins trying to bully Tim Duncan, and even though Cousins is the one getting away with offensive fouls, Tim Duncan remains unbothered. with his head in the game, and Cousins is the one getting frustrated. That video really shows the contrast in those personality types. And like people say Ben Simmons will regret not developing a jump shot, I think Cousins will regret not developing better poise. But he is in his 30s and he's still pretty much the same, so probably not going to happen. Would be nice though. Now, last but not least, Rajon Rondo, another late addition to the lineup who ended up barely getting playoff minutes. Now, in my opinion, I just don't think Rondo ever developed any team chemistry. If you look at his past success, he played a decent amount of games with those teams. He got drafted by Boston and played 2 seasons with them before they won. He had 2 seasons with the Lakers before they won. He played 69 games with the Bulls. He played 65 games with New Orleans. And he only played 18 games with the Clippers. So I don't really think it's fair to say it didn't work with Rondo. I mean, did he really get enough games to figure out the team? Especially given his play style, which is that of a floor general. I think chemistry is crucial for a player like him to be successful. All right, that's going to do it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Peace.